Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations. It's time for Wallow and Friends on Sports 56, presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here's your host, the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
Welcome in on this Wednesday. It is December the 1st. That is significant because right now, baseball does not have a collective agreement with its players that expired at midnight. We'll talk about that in just a little bit. The Grizz are 2-0 without Ja. What does that say? I don't really think it says much, but it says pretty good that they're playing good D. It's the first time after they beat the Raptors last night that they have won in Canada since 2013. Dylan Brooks, who grew up in a suburb of Toronto, after he hit a three, shouted out, "This is my house." And then in a post-game press conference, he looked exactly like a wrestler. He is some kind of story for sure. There is another college number one that went down last night. We're going to have three number ones in the first couple of weeks of college basketball. The Tigers, who are in Athens, Georgia, where I come from today, they are 12-point favorites to beat the Georgia Bulldogs. However, they have changed their offense in light of all of their turnovers. We'll get into that. And last night, this is significant now. The Phoenix Suns lose Devin Booker, their best player. Well, Chris Paul's probably their best player. Their best scorer, let me put it that way. They lose him in the second half. They still go on to beat the Golden State Warriors, who'd won 8 in a row prior to that game. And now Phoenix, with that win at home, has won 17 games in a row. 17 in a row, Jay Morgan. That's pretty impressive stuff.
Unbelievable. 2 18-3 teams going head-to-head. It was a good night in the NBA last night, not to overshadow the Grizzlies or anything, but the Suns are legitimately good, even without Devin Booker. You know, they got a lot of good players on that team, and so are the Warriors. The West is it's a tough league right now.
Well, don't forget, the Suns are the defending champions.
Right.
Of that Western Conference. We've got a busy show for you today, as always. Stats Norsworthy is going to join us at about 10:25 or so. Then Jarvis Greer will end the show. We'll bring him on at about 10:42. So last night, again in Toronto, going back to the Grizz, they played on exceptional defense. They hold Toronto to under 191 points. And again, you got to go back to February of 2013, the last time they'd ever been able to win in Canada. In this game, I'm talking about the excellent defense that they played. So they held the Raptors to 40% field goal, 26% from three-point range. Now, they were not great either. I think they shot 39% from the field. They had 13 steals in this game, 10 blocks. Triple J, trying to pick up where Ja left off, has 25 points, 6 rebounds. He had 4 threes in the game and 5 blocks. 4 threes and 5 blocks have not been done by anybody in the NBA this year. So Triple J up in his game. Desmond Bane, 23-7. He hit 5 threes in the game. So I think they only had 10 threes. It's Triple J and Desmond Bane that did that heavy work. Dylan Brooks had that other 3. He had 17 and 4. Melton had a season-high 10 rebounds, 9 and 10. They're back home tomorrow against Oklahoma City. Go figure. This is the same team at home that lost to Toronto by running out of gas at the end. They had a lead in the game, and then in the fourth quarter, they just couldn't keep it together. And here they just play exceptional defense. That's a quality win on the road. And considering they had won one and they were due to lose, Jay Morgan, it's nice that they put two together.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to get a win every time. And this is going to sound like I'm poo-pooing the 2 wins a little bit, but I promise I'm not, because I love when Desmond Bane scores a lot. I love Desmond Bane. I love Dylan Brooks going off. But also, both teams were depleted as well. Which, not to say it's anything goes against the win, but, you know, there's a lot of people like, well, they got better without Ja and all this. Well, the other teams they were playing were pretty depleted, too, either with rest or guys out. But it's good to get wins. You're above 500, and that's all. At the end of the day, that's the name of the game.
Right, and if the playoffs started tomorrow, they would be in.
Bingo.
And that is true. And you know what? With the way the NBA is today, with all the resting of guys, that's just what you're going to see a bunch. I mean, Lord, don't buy tickets for your favorite team for Christmas because there's a good chance. Remember, this was when Cleveland had their big three, and all three didn't show up for a game around the Christmas time when everybody had bought tickets for that game at FedEx Forum to see the Grizz grit and grind at that point against LeBron and those guys. And the big three decided to take the whole night off. They didn't even make the trip. So you got to be careful with that. And you're right. With the way we do rest now, you never know who's going to play night to night. We know LeBron's not going to play for a while. He's in protocol. So he's going to miss several games. Apparently he's asymptomatic, and apparently he says he's been vaxxed, which worries me some, but he's asymptomatic. So that is a little comforting. But with this new strain, Lord knows how effective all the vaccines are going to be against this. Now, I know eventually they'll figure it out, but my gosh, that's why the markets have gone crazy a little bit. But listen to this. LeBron James has now missed 12 of the 23 games the Lakers have played, whether it's been injury, now the protocol, the suspension of a game. He's missed more than half their games, and he's going to miss more. They're 7-4 with him. They're 5-7 without him. So that is a tough look for the Lakers if he's going to be out for a while.
Beat a good Kings team last night, though. Kings under 500, but still playing. I like the Kings a lot. That was a promising win, even without LeBron.
Yeah, the Kings beat them with LeBron just a couple of weeks, couple of days ago.
Exactly.
In overtime. So, that is crazy. I'll get to the college football playoffs in just a second, but I want to go back to the Tigers here in Athens as they get set to play the Georgia Bulldogs, which are a bad team. 2-5. I don't know what Tom Crean's done. He's got a bunch. And this is modern basketball. I mentioned it with Iowa State. I mean, Iowa State had a whole new team, right? This is a lot of the way that Georgia is. They got one kid they got more than one that's now on at least their third different school. He's got a bunch of JC guys. The point guard is a kid who started and played for 4 years at Southern Illinois, went to Gonzaga, didn't play really much at Gonzaga, and now here he is at Georgia, and he's their starting point guard. So this is modern basketball, where guys who are going to, because of the transfer portal, they're going to play for 2 or 3 schools unless they really fit where they should be. Right off the bat, and that seems you better be a starter, getting a lot of minutes and being successful in order to stay your whole career. I mean, this kid at SIU, he's one of the leading players in the history of the school, and still left because he wanted to see what he could do with Gonzaga. And I guess I don't blame him, but that was kind of crazy.
Well, and Tom Crean, Dave, I hate this guy. I mean, talk about a terrible basketball coach. Just he's all about thinking that he can motivate his players to play well rather than actually teach him scheme and learn how to play. Tom Crean teams are notorious for not doing anything. I hope the Tigers win by 25 tonight. I hope they blow them out of there.
Well, Memphis needs to do that for their psyche and their confidence, and I guess to get a little respect back from voters who dropped them 10 spots. They dropped 11 spots in KenPom.
Yeah, they're at 27.
That's analytical, so that's not opinion. But they did get dropped by the voters, and I don't know if Penny mentioned this. I might have said this yesterday because I did know. Tennessee lost and actually went up 2 spots. That's because there were a bunch of upsets in front of them that apparently looked more demeaning, or maybe voters just like Rick Barnes. I don't know which way it was. Kansas only fell 4 spots, I believe it was, when they lost to Dayton. Granted, that was a close game. And Memphis's loss to Iowa State was ugly. I'm not going to make any bones about that. So ugly that they've changed the offense. I'll get into that in a second. But to drop 10 spots. Wow.
And Tennessee is.
And I know this. I think Penny and the coaching staff, they have a bit of a chip on their shoulder about that, thinking voters don't like them or respect them or the combination of the two. So I think they will go great guns. So now what he's going to do in this game tonight is go back to the offense, not totally that lion set offense that we saw at the end of last year in that streak where they played so well, where they played with Houston, the Final Four team, and should have beaten them twice, and lost on a miracle shot at the buzzer, and then played it down to the wire in the American Athletic Conference tournament, and then went on to win the NIT. I mean, that they cut down their turnovers to a great degree, because prior to that, when they were trying different things, and if you'll recall, Penny took the offense back from Cody Toppert. They were much more efficient, got better looking shots, and stopped turning the ball over a lot. They had acceptable turnover levels. And right now, they're the only team in the country averaging over 20 turnovers a game, 20.3. They go, and I mentioned this yesterday, but it bears repeating. They turn the ball over 1 out of every 4 possessions. So you think about that. You go down the floor and don't get a shot for a possession.
Right.
That's Zippo. That 25% of the time you don't even get a shot. It's hard to win games like that. It's incredibly difficult. And to think that they beat St. Louis with 26 turnovers, that was more than a quarter of the possessions, and they beat them by 20. That's nothing shy of miraculous. So what they were doing in the free-flowing scheme that was part Cody Toppert and Larry Brown, apparently, was they would have a lot of middle screens and they would play a two-man game, and it was designed to get Bates and Duren really going. Well, it's hard to do that with Bates because he has not seen a shot he doesn't like, and I don't know how often he passes the ball. And then Duren just wasn't even getting shots in that two-man game. So now they are going back to the stuff that they ran at the end of last year. Not totally the same way, a little different, but it will be a motion offense with more traditional picks, and hopefully that will cut down on the turnovers. You can't win games. You can't be an elite team without cutting down on you can't have over. What do you think is acceptable in today's age with high pace? 12 turnovers a game? Is that fair?
I don't even like that many. But, I mean, that you see teams winning games with 12 turnovers, especially in today's college basketball. But, I mean, double digits you should aim to get single digits every game.
So, hopefully this will make for more passing, more touches for everybody, and better-looking shots. Percentages will go up, turnovers will go down, and the Tigers will win tonight. And obviously, they need to beat these teams on the road, Georgia and Ole Miss, the next two, because those are brand names. They will look good to voters. They will look good to casual fans. And I haven't really seen where their Ken Palms are, but I'm sure it's at least both those games will be quad 2 games. So you'll get 2 quad wins, a quad 2 wins if you get them, that will help to bolster your resume. It's crazy college basketball, right? So Gonzaga was number 1. They kill Texas. They look like they're unbeatable, and then they get beaten by Duke, and you're going, oh, my gosh, Duke is really, really good. How can they? They're not going to lose a game this year. Then they go to Ohio State, which had already lost 2 games, one to Xavier, which was unranked at the time. Whoa. How does that happen?
Road games.
And now Purdue, which beat Florida State last night by like 30, they're going to be the new number 1. We're going to have 3 number 1 teams in the first 3 weeks of college basketball?
How about that? Maybe, it's hard to do preseason rankings.
It really is. And then when you think you're seeing an established pattern, like I really thought Gonzaga was going to handle Duke. And Banchero didn't play. He was in foul trouble last night. I think that bothered him a little bit. He missed a big 3 at the end and would have tied the game. So
I saw a stat like the last 2 games he has 30 points in the first half and only 5 in the second half of all those games. That's something.
That does say something there. And Duke didn't score the last 4.5 minutes of that game. I mean, they were up 15 and lost that game. So it's just going to be a crazy year. We see all these top 25 teams, including Memphis, lose. We'll see if Memphis makes the proper adjustments now and what happens with all of that. That should be absolutely a lot of fun, really, to watch. I mean, a headache for coaches, but there does seem to be parity at a lot of different levels in the college game right now, including at the elite level. So we'll watch and we'll see how it all plays out, especially tonight. Will he cut rotation down? Will he find a new point guard? Will Lomax play a lot? Will he start? Will he come off the bench? Will Timberlake get a chance at that position? All these questions will be answered a little bit later in the evening. And by the way, it's a weird game time. 6:15.
There's a lot of those tonight. I was looking at that earlier. 6:15, there's like some 8:15s. What's up with the 15s?
I don't know. Ask ESPN.
Quarter hours.
They're the ones that are in charge. I do not get that at all. All right, I want to go back to baseball for a little bit. And I know we'll chat with our friend Brett Norsworthy about this here in a little bit because his favorite sport is baseball. We got a lot to chat with him about, including the coaching carousel and what Lane Kiffin's going to do and his thoughts about what was a sweet win for Ole Miss in the Egg Bowl. But so now that the CBA has ended, some of the things, most of it is economic, but expanded playoffs. I think the owners want 14 teams in the playoffs with buys and the number one seed getting a chance to pick its playoff partner in the first round. Interesting format that they're talking about. I think you're going to see a DH in the National League, which I will despise.
Me too. I do not like the DH.
I don't like the DH either. I would say the majority of America does. I know the players want it because that will extend a veteran who's been a good player. It extends his career. He gets to make more money. So that is something I think the players are definitely for.
And it's something the owners don't care about, probably. So it's something they can give up without actually giving up anything they care about.
Well, I think the players also would like to see a higher luxury tax threshold so that they can go a little bit over more and more so that players make more and more money. Can't blame them for that. They also would like a quicker path to free agency where they can make more money in their prime because the way analytics is being used, unless you're a great player that becomes a DH, careers are not having the same kind of longevity as they're bringing up younger guys. And part of that is because it's low pay. So if you can get quicker to that threshold, it's probably better for both younger and veteran players. So those are some of the things that are on the table. So I don't know if it'll be officially an owner lockout, but at this point with no CBA, there can be no more Max Scherzer signings. Javier Baez got signed or $23 million a year yesterday, and reading stories about Javi, which I always liked. If Javi would just become more disciplined at the plate, he could become a fantastic all-around player because he's great defensively. He's got such quick hands. His bat speed is incredibly fast. So is his tag. They say he's got the fastest tag in baseball. He just is so undisciplined at the plate, he never walks. And he doesn't get a good look at pitches because he's so indiscriminating and he strikes out so often. But the Tigers are taking a chance on him. Maybe they can change him. That may have been the last free signing until we get a new CBA. So now teams can talk and make trades. They can't announce the trades until after there's a CBA in place.
They're not
but
official.
You're not going to see any more free agent signings, and you haven't seen an official date yet by teams for when they'll start spring training because they can't do that until they have a collective bargaining agreement in place. Going to be interesting to watch. That is for sure. I'll let you know this portion of our show is brought to you by Sheldon. Sheldon Rosengarten, Mark Spensdorf. He's your guy if you want to sell your house because he works at it. He works at it 24/7, 365. I mean, I know he sleeps sometime. But he likes to brag that he's not a good golfer. And he's really not. And it's because he's so dedicated to his business. He doesn't practice at all. They call him three-putt. They call him triple bogey. His swing is not as bad as he likes to let on. But he is busy with his strategy. He's the only guy that has shell bucks. He's a guy that studies the marketplace on a regular basis, knows how to price your home exactly the way it should be, and your home will move faster than anybody else. Now, he says, go talk to 2 or 3 different agents. Just make sure he's one of them, and then you'll learn the strategy, and you're going to sign with him. They all do. Go to MemphisRelocate.com. You see what I'm talking about. Then 483-0546. That's the number. 483-0546. You want to move your house? You want to meet a neat guy? Don't don't talk golf too much, but talk moving houses, because that's what he's good at. He's Sheldon Rosengarten, Marks Bensdorf. And don't forget, they've done it again at Family Leisure. They've got this Christmas sale now with game room stuff at a really good price. Free delivery on in-stock items. They're saying to you, get your stuff in now so it's delivered by Christmas. They have sales all the time. This is another one of those beauties. They're always trying to help. Get to I-40 and Whidden Road. Walk in the place. You'll love it. You will see all of the newest with all the pool tables and shuffleboard and air hockey, everything that makes a family holiday just a little bit more fun. And there's a good price on that right now at Family Leisure, where family and fun and now Christmas are all coming together. We take a quick timeout. When we come back, our friend Brett Norsworthy stats on a myriad of topics when we return.
This is Brett Norsworthy, and I want to thank you for listening through all these years and want you to continue listening to Sports 56 and 98.5 FM from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. every day, and to me with Gabe Kuhn on Sports Time with Gabe and Stats every afternoon from 3 to 6 p.m. on AM 560 and 98.5 FM.
Hey friends, Bill Russell at Russell Brothers Fine Jewelers. You're probably thinking now about what to get that wonderful lady in your life for Christmas. And if you want something special, let me give you some advice. Special gifts do not come with a cord or a plug. The best gifts come in small boxes, make her eyes sparkle, and those gifts are our strongest point at Russell Brothers. A beautiful diamond bracelet or perhaps a pair of stunning diamond studs could make you a real hero on Christmas morning. Maybe she's dropped some hints about a gold and diamond necklace, or you want to surprise her with a magnificent ring that says, I love you. Stunning gifts of jewelry come in so many different flavors, and we've got them all just waiting for you at Russell Brothers. We've been helping Memphis shoppers for 5 decades, and we would love to help you become a part of the Russell Brothers family. Russell Brothers Fine Jewelers, 4646 Poplar at Perkins, and remember, no cords and no plugs. Let us help you be the best Santa you can possibly be. Russell Brothers Jewelers.
I'm Gary York. I'm the service director at Lexus of Memphis. Our service department wants to be more than just a place where you get your oil changed. We do glass repair, windshield replacement, recalibration of your camera and sonar systems, even wheel repair, tire replacement, all the things you would expect from a luxury automotive dealer. Please check out our website. You can schedule your appointment, check out our specials, hours of operation, or if you'd like to do it in person, please reach out to one of our associates at 901-271-5199.
Hi, everyone. Greg Gaston for FanDuel. Basketball fans celebrate the NBA's 75th anniversary season on FanDuel Sportsbook. Right now, new customers can place their first bet risk-free, and if you don't win, you'll get up to $1,000 back. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, now is the perfect time to give it a shot. There's no better place to bet on the NBA than FanDuel. Already have a FanDuel Sportsbook account? FanDuel is hooking all customers up with $50 when you refer a friend. Plus, your friend will get $50 too. Just invite them using your exclusive referral link, which can easily be found when you tap the refer icon. So see for yourself why FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook. Just download the FanDuel Sportsbook app and sign up using promo code GASMAN to get your first bet risk-free up to $1,000. And make every moment more this NBA season. That's promo code GASMAN. Must be 21 or over and present in Tennessee. First online real money wager only. Refund issued as non-withdrawable site credit that expires in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. If you have a gambling problem, call Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789.
Moving is stressful, but Black Tie Moving can take the worry out of the process. Whether you're moving across town or across country, moving your home or your office, your personal moving concierge from Black Tie Moving will work with you to design a plan that perfectly fits your budget and needs. And they're available 24/7 to answer any questions you have. Give Black Tie Moving a call at 901-316-6196 or go to blacktiemoving.com/Memphis to get your personal, no obligation quote from the moving experts at Black Tie Moving.
This is one of those months when you're going to spend a lot of time in the kitchen, making those once-a-year recipes that everybody's expecting. So the last thing you want to do is worry every day about what to make for breakfast or lunch. Instead, swing by Sunrise on Jefferson for some good old-fashioned homemade flavor you don't actually have to make at home. Sunrise will do it for you. Grab a mess of breakfast sandwiches to feed a crowd, or grab lunch for everyone from Sunrise, where the food is always prepared fast and fresh. Sunrise may not be able to make Nana's famous congealed salad, but we can fill in for the rest of it. Always fresh, always here for you. It's Sunrise.
Hi, this is John Conway with Conway Services. Did you notice your water heater not heating as well last winter? During the cold winter months, the groundwater is colder and requires more energy to heat the water, and sometimes old, inefficient tank water heaters just can't keep up. It may be time for a tankless water heater from Conway Services that never runs out of hot water. Conway Services is making now the perfect time for a new tankless water heater with 12 months interest-free, or I'll pay you $250 for that old tank water heater. Plus, the energy-saving models only heat the water you use, saving you money on your gas bill every month. And no more worrying about that tank bursting in your attic either. So call Conway Services, the Mid-South's premier tankless water heater professionals at 384-3511. And the first 30 callers with a 10-year-old water heater will come out and inspect it absolutely free.
Call 384-3511. Conway Services. Call Conway today.
Now, back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56, presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again, it's the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
You heard the announcer, man. Our title sponsor is Homer Skelton Hyundai. That's in Olive Branch. Very first exit off Highway 78, Lamar. You know, Craft Road, turn left. You'll see the place that I think has set the bar for the way car business should be done in so many different ways. Chris True is the man that runs the place. Vinny Garrard is over all the Genesis products. And then there's Ray Melton, who's, I think, in his 70th year, something like that, when it comes to all the pre-owned, and they're getting more and more stock back in. This is the place to go. Friendly people, they take care of you for sure. Maintain your car there. They get to know you by your car. I promise. You get that small town feel of really being taken care of. And they've set the bar for the way car business should be done. That's Homer Skelton Hyundai and Genesis of Olive Branch, Craft Road, and Highway 78. Always a pleasure to talk to my friend Brett Norsworthy. I guess I should start calling him Nostradamus. He said way back when in the summer the SEC would get 13 teams into bowls. I said, no way. He said, way. Only Vandy wouldn't get in. He was on the money. He won all the SEC picks. He won all the picks. He's the man in that regard. But I'm not starting there, Brett Norsworthy. I've given you your due. I'm starting with this very tough question. Will there be baseball next April?
Not on opening day. Good morning, Dave. Not on opening day. No, we will have a delay to the season at best. And, Dave, it's hurtful. It truly is hurtful to me that baseball constantly finds itself in this sticky wicket. I mean, just constantly. It's always labor, unrest. It's always will they or won't they play. And, Dave, I know it irritated you in the past when I've said this, but one thing baseball has to do, they're not going to do it. They're not going to do it. But it has to address contracting some teams. And that would be one of the toughest calls ever. It would be an embarrassment for the sport in the short term. In the long term, it would make it better. There are at least 3, if not 5, that have no business competing. None. They can't.
Well, the interesting aspect is one of those teams that you have proclaimed that needs to be, and I'm not arguing with you on that because they don't draw. But the Rays on the field are too good. You can't contract a team that's a championship level team.
Sure you can, because if a tree falls in the woods, does it make a noise?
Well, but as you say, they're not going to do that, and that's really not. I don't think in this CBA fight. This thing is, so as we look at it, let's just look at a few of the issues that are on the table. Expanded playoffs to 14 teams with this weird concept that the number 1 bye gets to pick the wild card team they get to play. Will that make it?
Sickening. And embarrassing at every level. Embarrassing that Rob Manfred is even thinking that way. For years I've said he reads and acts on everything in his suggestion box. He is absolutely the most sensitive to every whim of every fan out there. That sounds like something you'd see at some goofy weekend tournament down at Snowden Grove.
Right. I agree. I think it's crazy. Second, DH National League, I think that's pretty well a given, don't you?
It's a given. It's useless to fight that anymore when I don't know why it's necessary. Why does the National League have to acquiesce? Why wouldn't the American League acquiesce when we actually played baseball?
I think because it provides jobs for veterans that are names that draw, and it's something the players want. I think there are a lot of fans. There's a lot of fans that really like that. They don't appreciate the game for the way it's supposed to be. They don't appreciate double switches and the strategy that comes in with removing a pitcher for a pinch hitter. I don't get it. To me, that's real baseball, but we know we're going to lose that argument. Here's the other. Higher luxury.
You know when we lost it? 50 years ago when Ron Bloomberg stepped into the batter's box as the first DH ever for the Yankees.
Yeah.
It was a matter of time. It took almost 50 years.
Yeah, I agree with that. A higher luxury tax threshold, which would allow bigger markets to buy more players without having to pay a penalty, but it would provide the better players with more money. Is that going to happen?
It probably will happen because the Players Association is so very powerful. It's the most powerful union in all of sports. The second most powerful union in all of sports is the Umpires Union. And
then a quicker path to free agency. This is the one I think could end up being a little bit of a sticking point. So many players are upset about how they would keep a player in the minor league system for longer so they could pay him cheaper for longer. And players with analytics now, it seems, lower level players not getting the kind of money that or longevity that they would like as you're bringing in younger guys that are cheaper. Yeah. This would sort of end that because you would become a more valuable asset by free agency at a quicker period of time. I'm not sure the owners are ready for that. I think the players really want it.
Yeah, there's not a lot of room right now in the sport for the ragamuffin player, for the Punch and Judy player, for the Freddie Patek, for the Buddy Biancalana, for the Skip Schumacher, for the guy that hits behind the runner, for the guy that kind of all defense and no offense. I mean, there's really no place for that person in the sport. When you see in the playoffs, when you see Kyle Schwarber leading off, you know the game has changed.
That is for sure. All right, let me switch gears a little bit. As the college football aficionado that you are, did you ever see a day that a guy would leave Notre Dame?
Stunning day. Never in my life did I think a coach would leave Oklahoma other than being fired or leave Notre Dame other than being fired. The idea that Ara Parseghian would have ever been looking around for another job is anathema. I mean, it's just a foreign concept as anything ever. For that matter, at Oklahoma, Chuck Fairbanks left for the Patriots, but I know the Razorbacks made a strong, a Will Wade strong offer to Barry Switzer in the 70s, and he laughed at him. He wasn't going back to his alma mater because he was at Boomer. Bob Stoops turned down Ohio State, turned down Notre Dame, turned down the Cleveland Browns, a couple other NFL jobs he probably could have gotten involved in. So for Lincoln Riley on Sunday to leave for Oklahoma, which really made the move for Brian Kelly because LSU thought they had Lincoln Riley all weekend, and then he did his version of what is on Saturday night and said he wasn't taking the LSU job. And it was really poor by the assembled media to not ask the follow-up. Or is that any other job, Coach?
I the way he said that, had I been in that press conference, I think I would have bought the whole line, hook, and sinker, too. He said it with such a certainty that you just said, hey, I mean, you're saying to yourself, well, he's saying he's an Oklahoma guy. He's not going to LSU. And they were at that time, the number that was being thrown around was $13 million a year. Yeah. My goodness. And he said that with such certainty.
I think we'll learn in the next few days and weeks that LSU even had some other plans. I can't confirm it yet, but LSU I think even were out there. I think they were really fishing for even some mightier whales than Brian Kelly, and we're told no. But I can't go exactly with that yet.
Huh. Well, I can't wait for when you can. Closer to home, Lane Kiffin. Obviously, the Miami rumors. If a new AD comes in and fires Manny Diaz, do you think Lane Kiffin will be the coach of Ole Miss next year?
It's the only one that Ole Miss has to be concerned about. But it sounds like Manny Diaz is going to make it. They've got a lot of administrative upheaval. But a new deal has been mostly, the framework has been agreed to. It just takes some signatures. You know everything now in college sports. It's really year-to-year hitches. If it's not this year with Miami, then it's going to be next year. Because if Manny Diaz makes it through this stay of execution from his dad as mayor of Dade County, he's not going to make it next year because he's not going to win enough.
It does seem, though, that Lane Kiffin is pretty comfortable at Ole Miss.
Very.
And he's got some pretty good recruits coming in, if I recall correctly. So I don't know that he would be in a hurry unless it was an offer that was made he couldn't refuse.
Well, he's done a fantastic job. I know it's going to be a tough SEC Coach of the Year vote for a lot of people. I think if Kirby wins on Saturday and completes 13-0, the easiest vote to take the powder would just be to vote for Kirby Smart for going perfect in the toughest league in the country. But if he were to lose Saturday, then I think Lane Kiffin probably should be Coach of the Year. To be 10-2 with a team that most people forecasted 8, maybe 9. I don't know any that said 10. And over 2 years to be 15-7, to go to the Outback Bowl last year and win it, and now to be looking at either the Sugar, the Peach, or the Fiesta Bowl is just remarkable.
It is. You know what is remarkable to me, seriously, is I did not realize it until it was said on Saturday. This is the first 10-win regular season for Ole Miss. Now, I know we haven't been playing 12 games that long, but you go back in that storied history, and I'm thinking, really? That's the first time 10 regular season wins?
Yeah, won 10 many times, including the bowl game most recently in 2015 after going 9-3 and then beating Oklahoma State. The bowl game won 10 with Eli Manning his last year, 10-3. But to win 10 in the regular season, and except for the Alabama game, the Alabama took Ole Miss apart really from late first quarter on. Except for the Alabama game, in the 7 losses for Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss, he has been in every game. It has been a respectable, representative, well-coached football team out there on the field for just about every game of his tenure. The Alabama game got away from him. It was probably the best Alabama's played all year, and now they have to play their very, very best because they were lucky to beat Auburn in the Iron Bowl. Sitting there with 5 minutes to play, Dave, man, it felt deader than Elvis for Alabama.
I think you're right. They were really fortunate to win that game. 3rd down and 1. The guy gets dragged out of bounds. I mean, Alabama made that happen, but wow. And what nobody could move the football. I believe, what did Auburn have going into overtime? 26 yards on the ground. We think Memphis Tigers had trouble running the ball. So did Auburn in that game. I think it makes it clear.
Auburn and Georgia, or Alabama and Georgia have played 4 common opponents this year. 3 of the 4 have been widespread margin of victory differences for Georgia. Alabama only had a bigger margin of victory over Tennessee than Georgia had over Tennessee. And that Georgia played Tennessee in Knoxville, and Alabama played them in Tuscaloosa. They're pretty big favorites Saturday, but look out for Nick Saban in that one game against the protege. Look out for Nick Saban Saturday.
I was going to say every indication is that Georgia should win this game and actually win it fairly handily. But it is Nick Saban in a championship game against one of his guys, where he's been pretty brilliant until this year with Jimbo Fisher. So I'm with you. What did that line open up at only at 4.5, and what is it now? 6.5, something like that?
Yeah, it's gone up, and Georgia's a really good team. I think the best defense the SEC has seen since '92 Alabama, Gene Stallings' national championship team. And really, this Alabama team this year reminds me of some of Gene Stallings' teams. Really reminds me of the '94 team, Jay Barker's junior year, when they went 11-1. They were good and won a lot of games, but they weren't great, but they were really good.
Yeah. All right, last thing, College Football Playoff Committee kept Cincinnati in at 4, but moving Oklahoma State above Notre Dame worries me if you're for a group of 5 team getting in. Because if Oklahoma State, let's say, knocks the heck out of Baylor, which is number 9 in their poll this week, and let's just say Cincinnati barely gets past a Houston team that is full of skill position speed, if that's close, it's there. The mechanism is in place for them to move Oklahoma State ahead of Cincinnati. That's my fear. What do you think happens as Saturday plays out?
If Cincinnati wins by 1 and 10 overtimes, they're in, and they should be. It's pretty simple. If Georgia wins, Georgia's in no matter what. If Michigan wins, they're in. If Cincinnati wins, they're in. If Oklahoma State wins, they're in. That's the cleanest and probably the best way for the committee to have any controversy for things that happen. Notre Dame's not going to get in over those teams.
What about Alabama? If they win, the SEC gets 2. Michigan and Cincinnati all stay in. That's probably the scenario, right?
I think so. And then in that case, you're probably from a AAC point of view or a Cincinnati point of view, although they're very proudly in the Big 12. They're flying the Big 12 flag over the stadium.
I know.
And it's almost like they've forgotten about the AAC. But then you would probably be pulling for Baylor to upset Oklahoma State.
As I was reminded last night, they can fly that flag, but their shares for the next 2 years of going to any bowls, including a championship playoff, that money gets split amongst they get half, and then the other half goes to the AAC teams. So they can fly the flag, but they're paying the American.
They can fly the flag all they want, but the routing number is still DeMichael Resco.
Yeah, that's exactly correct. What do you expect to see tonight between the Tigers and Georgia?
Well, first I'd like to know, people in Athens realize there's even a basketball game tonight, or are all concentration on Saturday against Bama? No, I think the Tigers win in a rout. Georgia's really bad. 14th out of 14th. Tigers 11.5-point favorite for a reason. And Tom Crean's another victim of it can't be done at Georgia.
Well, you know what? He couldn't do it at Indiana either, for that matter. But he was good at Marquette. I will say this: everybody forgets about how good he was at Marquette. Isn't his wife a Harbaugh?
Yeah, that's right.
His wife is Jim Harbaugh's sister, and John Harbaugh's
That's what I thought.
Correct.
Yeah, a very good week for Jim Harbaugh. Boy, that was stunning to me. We always talk about
Harbaugh too getting that win Sunday night.
Yeah, that's right. But Jim Harbaugh's when he's faced Ohio State in the past, it was very clear physically they couldn't match him. This time in the trenches, the way they ran that ball down, it was impressive what Michigan did on Saturday.
Dave, I thought it was important for two coaches that could be in the college football Final Four, Jim Harbaugh and Mike Gundy, that if their administrations had listened to the angry mob, had listened to the fans and fired those coaches, what it would have done, how it would have splintered the football department, the football team, and derailed them, Mike Gundy over the goofy T-shirt that I still don't even know what it means, and Michigan with the losses, really only the losses to Ohio State and Michigan State. But if those administrations had listened to the mob, it would have cost football, and it would have cost them being in the college football playoff this year. That's why a lot of times you got to have a good plan to stay with it.
Good stuff as always, my friend. We thank you so much. Have a great weekend.
Be safe. You too.
That is our friend Brett Norsworthy, brought to you in part by the good folks at Old Dominick. This is a great, cool place. You can join the team at Old Dominick for distillery tours and tastings at their craft distillery located in the heart of downtown Memphis, right there at 305 South Front Street. If you didn't know, we got a distillery in Memphis, and it goes back a long way. And if you go, you'll find out even more. You can take this tour. It starts with the history of the Old Dominick whiskey and its founder, Domenico Canali, who came to this country with nothing, and then, of course, he developed an empire. Then you get a good look at the way they do this thing. It's a craft from grain to glass. They show you how they make the spirits. And then it ends with a very cool tasting of the Old Dominick portfolio of spirits. One of the things that's unique, they got a great bar. If you're looking for something different, elegant, not stuffy, they got a bar that will serve you those Old Dominick products all night long. Go to the OldDominick.com website for bar hours or for availability of tours, which you will love. We got a gem downtown. It's called Old Dominick Distillery. Back in a minute, Jarvo from Action News 5, as always. He joins us to put an end to the middle of the week on this Wednesday, December 1st, as you listen to Sports Time on Sports 56.
The all-new Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10 right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
For years, I have talked to you about James Davis, the finest men's store in all of Memphis, the service, the selection, everything that goes with quality. And I've told you recently about the Stant Perfect Fit shirts. Well, now there's the Stant Perfect Fit pants. Absolutely amazing. Only 2 measurements fed into a computer, and all of a sudden, you've got the perfect fit pants. I'm talking everywhere. The leg, the seat, the bottom, all made to fit your body absolutely perfectly. And there's 80 different fabrics to choose from. You will find the right look, the right fit, almost instantaneously. They start at $162, but you will never find a better pair of pants than these at James Davis Men's Store. And the shirts are still there, and guess what? It's the only place in Memphis that you can find Stant. That's the James Davis Men's Store in the Laurelwood Shopping Center.
Belly Acres' motto is City-Fied Farm Fresh. The goal is simple: provide a fun, unique farm-to-table experience for the whole family. 2 great locations, Regalia at 6130 Poplar and in Overton Square at 2102 Trimble Place. Overton Square hours Sunday through Thursday 11A to 9P, Friday and Saturday 11A to 10P. Regalia Sunday through Thursday 10:30 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Friday and Saturday 10:30 a.m. to 11 p.m. Signature burgers are made from 100% grass-fed beef. Sandwiches, salads, and the best milkshakes anywhere. The burgers, so good, like the Daria or the Double Daria, and the melt in your mouth. And you have to try the Voodoo Moo Moo. It is the quality brand the Belly Acres team has developed using grass-fed beef with creative homemade toppings in a fun farm setting right here in the city. The goal at Belly Acres, to become even more sustainable as they grow. In Overton Square and in Regalia, the very best quality available in Memphis, burger shakes and smiles at Belly Acres.
Now, back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56, presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again, it's the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
Final portion of this Wednesday brought to you by Dinstall's. Christmas is coming. We've gotten through the chocolate turkeys, but now think about great gifts to send elsewhere. Like if you would want to send a loved one, family member, a good buddy, maybe somebody you do business with, a taste of Memphis. Nothing better than sending something sweet, sending Dinstall's to make somebody that's away at school feel a little bit like home, or somebody that you're doing business with, let them know what Memphis is all about with the sweetest thing that we've got. And there's no question that Dinstall's is the signature candy of all of the Mid-South. They have been for 120 years now. Starts with the milk chocolate. We've got Cashew Crunch that they just wrote about in Memphis Magazine. I happen to love everything that they have there, from the Heavenly Hash to you name it, turtlettes and Cashew Crunch are the two. When the strawberries are not in season, and they're not in season now, but all the other fall stuff, caramel apples, that kind of thing, all still there. But think about for corporate events, for corporate gifts, you got to go now to make sure it gets there in time for Christmas. So go see Becky and all the gang at all 5 locations where they make the candy on Pleasant View, Collierville, Germantown, Laurelwood in my neighborhood, and now downtown as well. Dinstall's, for 120 years, it is said, this is the sweetest part of Memphis. Speaking of sweethearts, that's Jarvis Greer from Action News 5. I saw you, Jarvo. I saw you swaying. I saw you doing a hula dance when you announced that Memphis was going to go bowling in Honolulu. I can't wait. I know you can't either.
Yeah, man, it's a definite reward for the players and not bad for us too. So, that's what the coaches wanted after this year. That with all the injuries and everything that they went through, he really wanted to reward his guys for holding on to that rope. When you lose your starting running back, who was among the nation's leaders there for the first 4 weeks of the season, when you lose some people off the offensive line that you were counting on to make that run game go, when all the people that dropped out, 48 games were missed by players that you needed, and to still make it to the minimum standard. I know they want to do better than 6-6, but they're bowl eligible, and that's something you can put on your resume. 8 straight, baby. 8 straight, and you put some coconuts on that.
Well, I think it's significant, too. There's not a group of 5 school. There's not many Power 5 schools that have gone to 8 in a row, but all the schools that are going into the Big 12 from the American, Houston, UCF, Cincinnati, even BYU, none of them have been to 8 straight bowls. So that is quite the accomplishment. And we still don't know who Memphis is going to play, but I'm betting it'll either be Wyoming or Boise. I'm kind of hoping for Boise because that would be the first chapter in what we hope would be a nice long rivalry because you've already got a contract with them for a home and home that comes later. I can't remember what years.
Was it 25 or 24? Somewhere in there.
It could be even later than that, but. Those are the 2 schools that are the ones that would be most likely to join the Big 12 if expansion occurs again. So this is an opportunity to start what could be a nice rivalry.
Yeah, Boise State, I think, finished 7-5 this year. Wyoming, the Cowboys are 6-6. Yeah. And it would be much more of a
pair like records if they can.
Yes, a pair of teams that are very similar in the seasons that they've had. Common opponent, Memphis and Boise State. Boise State lost at UCF. Of course, the Tigers went down to UCF and lost, but that was without Seth Hennigan, who had his 6th 300-yard game of the year. And that's just incredible for a freshman to be able to do that. And it would be an intriguing matchup to see, how Memphis is able to fare against a team that's pretty much been a bowl darling, for ever since which bowl was that they had the Statue of Liberty play? They beat Oklahoma. Ever since that
was
game,
a Fiesta Bowl, I believe.
The Fiesta Bowl, that's correct. Yeah, and they've been kind of a darling, and they travel well. Although I don't know how many people will travel, to this bowl this year. We're still in the COVID year, and Hawaii is very strict on their COVID regulations and all that stuff. But still, on the field, I think it would be a very good matchup. And I think it'd be a good matchup with Wyoming if it came down to that. Cowboys have been to some bowls, and they played really well, and they played a lot of good competition tight. So I'm just glad that these guys are getting to go. I mean, it was a long year when you look at all the things that went wrong for Memphis, and this was a transition year anyway, and you still go bold. So that's one thing that put a feather in your cap about.
And it just dawned on me, a lot of schools are worried about players opting out of bowl games. You're not opting out of this one if you have a chance to go to Hawaii for a week.
Yeah, I mean, you've been working all year, and then you get a chance to, you go to Hawaii, and the sun's shining, and it's 85, and you get to get in the water, and you get to do all kind of things like that, go to luau, eat good, and it's definitely could be a once-in-a-lifetime trip for a lot of the guys. A lot of the players and some of the families, some of the coaches even, who knows when you get a chance to do this. So you get a shot to do this deal, you take it.
Real quick, Grizzlies are 2-0 without Ja. Is that just sheer coincidence?
Oh, come on! Don't even start going down that road. Come on now. They were 4-4 without him last year when he had that sprained ankle that he hurt up in Brooklyn, and they just kept it afloat until he gets back. The NBA is a superstar league, and if you don't have superstar talent, you're not going that far. You might be able to make a little noise, but you're not going that far. And we saw we saw one of the players come through with Jaren Jackson Jr. last night, starting to play like what we all hoped that he would be able to play. But if you want to take that next leap and get into that 4 or 5 category, 4, 5, 6, from 7, 8, 9, where they are right now, you got to have some players that can flat play. And having Ja out of the lineup is tough. You just want to stay afloat till he gets back.
I thought really and truly it was defense that was the big factor last night. They hold this team to 91 points, and that was outstanding. All right, Jarvo, appreciate it. I can't wait to go to Hawaii with you, but we'll obviously
Dave?
talk before then.
How is your hula? I want to know.
I think I'm going to have to do some core exercises, some flexibility stuff. But I got a month to get ready for. Well, not quite a month, but I got some time to get ready.
You got to shave your legs because you're going to be up there on stage in a hula.
All right, buddy. Take care.
I can't wait
talk
to see that. We'll
talk to you
broadcast
next
it
week.
Okay, buddy.
That is Jarvis Greer. Watch him tonight, 6 and 10 on Action News 5. We also got to thank Stats. Tigers tonight. Don't forget, that is a 6:15 game. Johnny Radio comes your way in just a minute. Have a great day, everybody.
The Memphis Tigers are once again teaming up with the city of Memphis for the annual Tiger Toy Drive to help families in need during the holiday season.